as a parent as well. So not peers actually probably slow. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast Dyslexia with Success. Today, I'm your host, Petronila Engeka, and we will be diving into a very important topic, the dyslexic nurse. So welcome back, and thank you for staying tuned to our message on this podcast. Today, I would like to bring you in on what it feels like to be a dyslexic nurse. So, the nursing job is actually a very demanding and high pressured job. And you can imagine with that how a dyslexic nurse will cope under pressure. It's important for me to remind you that in nursing, nurses need to be quick in their decision making. They work long hours, 12-hour shifts or night shifts. There's no room for mistakes. And how did I do it as a dyslexic nurse? I'm sure you will be asking that question. So, imagine myself being a dyslexic nurse working on a fast ward. How I manage it through the nursing school right up to getting a job and, being here today and telling the tale. When I was in nursing school, I discovered that I cannot be every nurse. What do I mean by that? The nursing is specialized. You have elderly care nurses where you have a ward, say, with 16 elderly patients or respiratory ward. But I discovered that I was a good scrub nurse, or I was a good recovery nurse. I was also a good ITU nurse because I had experiences. I was exposed to this different environment, and it meant that I was able to work with limited amount of patients. I was not very good at working on the big ward. Sometimes you have even 22 patients to 2 nurses. That's just a lot. That was a lot of pressure, which I couldn't cope on. So I looked for a job in critical care. Well, I'm recording this episode here in Cambridge, in Peterborough, Cambridgeshire, should I say, because Peterborough is Cambridgeshire, isn't it? And that's where I've trained as a nurse and worked in Papworth. So during that time, I discovered what I was good at. Remember, in some of my episodes, I said the way to cope with nursing, the way to cope with dyslexia, to overcome dyslexia, is focusing on what you were good at. So I knew I was a good recovery nurse, I was a good scrub nurse, I was a good critical care nurse, so I could work with lesser people. And I decided to go to become a critical care nurse. In my book, I share my journey around my challenges that I faced in nursing, and because I know that so many people with dyslexia feel and understand the same pressure that I'm talking about, I thought it would be good to share it on this podcast, what my experience was like in the job. And any job, actually, being a dyslexic person, which is highly pressured, it is more difficult. I will tell you that for free. So because I was struggling to cope with too many people. That's what I discovered going through my training, is that I cannot deal on a ward with 5 patients, 10, 11. That's a bit too much for me. So I was zooming. So I'm good analytical person. So in critical care, I would look at the patient from head to toe and start my assessment in the morning, from the ventilator to their environment to the cables, and then I would do my blood, check my ABG bloods and get the results. So everything to me was a pattern and it became a routine, and that's how I stayed a safe nurse and a good nurse, because everything were methodic. But on a medical ward, or say an elderly ward, everybody have different problems and you have to deal with them differently. I couldn't cope into that. And In the nursing profession, you have to deal with a lot of medical notes. Back in the days, you have writings of doctors, the scribbling. It was a challenge for me to read that. So I had to home on to my colleagues who were very good at reading doctors' notes to read it for me. I use something called color coding, so I have to make sure I kind of change the colors of things so that I can remember them. Um, Going to medication, I know you'll be thinking, oh, I think you must have had a lot of medication error. No, actually, when I was in nursing school, one of the exams was to do drug calculation. And if you fail that, you can't move to the next year or to the next class. So I did very well. First time, 100%. So I'm very good with numbers. So that also helped. So in critical care, it's all about the numbers. You have to calculate the medication in micrograms, milligrams, or whatever it is against the person's weight or against the measurement. You have to measure the fluid output on a timely hour or every 30 minutes, every hour. Those were things I was good at. I was so good at measuring urine. Yes, I know. Sorry, it might be a bit gross for some people who are not in healthcare, but I could take a measurement of the urine and look at it on the bottom. So this is 250 mils. And when I put it on the scale, bang on. So I actually enjoyed my job because I honed on that skill, able to use my visual power to do my job. So I really enjoyed being a bedside nurse and being a critical care nurse. When people ask me what kind of a nurse you are, I always say I'm a critical care nurse because remember my story how I pronounce the doctor's name? So I'm not very good at reading people's names, but I was very good at doing things that were repetitive and they were methodic, and I didn't need any distraction. I focused on one patient and finished my job. So that's how I survived being a nurse or being in critical care and staying safe. To the nursing journey, one of the things that challenges that nurses face in the profession is time management. Everybody wants everything at the same time, and which is impossible. And if you are a dyslexic person, and if you've watched some of our episodes of the podcast, you have my friend who said she will wake up at 5 o'clock and still go to work late at 9 o'clock because her time blindness was very bad. I don't think my time blindness is that bad, but I try very hard to work in a methodic way. I use alarms to remind me of times. Some of the challenges, ward rounds, loads of information, overload, charts. In critical care, we have a lot of charts that we have to look across. So I have to read and double read information, which then takes too much time to complete that task. But because I had just one patient, it was okay for me. The urgency to complete task was sometimes very overwhelming, rushing, the number of people you need to deal with at a given time, say the relative, the emergencies on the ward. Oh, it was mind-blowing. But I'm happy that I was able to do it and able to tell the tale today. The use of digital tools also helped me quite a lot. Like when I was spelling, I had a dictator thing. Back then, iPhones were around, but we were not allowed to use our phones when we were at work. So I was given a device at uni, which was like a calculator. So I can go there and spell my words. And then if I'm not sure of the spelling, I will spell it there before I write it down on my medical note. So that's how I survive nursing. I also use a technique where I have to write down all my jobs and then I would tick them as I go along. That was very helpful. And I think one thing that is very important that I would like to share with you here is that you have to be open to your colleagues about your dyslexia. Communicate it to them so that they can help you. They will help you. And if you are a nurse watching this episode, listening to this podcast, please be kind, be nice to those nurses. It is hard to be a nurse, and then being dyslexic, it makes it even harder. So I think our colleagues who are nurses, that nurse, he or she is not lazy. They may be just dealing with something that you don't know. It is called the invisible disability, actually. So I will not sugarcoat the fact that being dyslexic is easy. It isn't easy. So you need your double body, like asking people to check with you if this thing is right. If you're not sure, don't be ashamed. It is actually teachable for me to share this experience because other people now may be able to cope better. It teaches us nurses, whether dyslexic or no dyslexic, to become more resilient going through all this thing. It's teaching us accepting who you are and how you work differently from your colleagues, Also being adaptive, adaptability. Oh my God, bring it in, dyslexia. So the adaptability of you being able to learn differently and adapt and then deliver and keep patients safe who need you desperately, and also being creative, like using the charts, putting different colors, being creative in your workplace in a way that will also help you. And I think more importantly, me being an employer, is that you need to tell your employer so that they can give you help. And when they give you help, they also get more money from the Department of Work and Pensions. So again, workplaces need to be more dyslexia friendly and acceptable, and ask people to come up and talk about their challenges in doing their job. I'll tell you a little story that built my confidence when I was a nurse. Remember, I said in some of my episodes that I realized I was dyslexic when I was doing my nursing training. So I was a student nurse then. And I went to a placement in theater. And the doctor there, the dentist, he was a dentist, and he was talking about his experience because one of the nurses commented on his performance like, "Oh, you're such a good doctor." And he said, "I'm dyslexic. I couldn't have made it through medical school without the help with my dyslexia." Oh my God, my legs just went wobbly there, like, a doctor dyslexic? You just felt like there are not people out there who are struggling and still being successful and doing amazing job as that, okay, because he was a dental surgeon. So I think you can be anything you want to be as a dyslexic person. And being a nurse, being a dentist, being a doctor, you can achieve all those things if you kind of zoom into your strength, the things that you can do better, the things that you're more interested in. Look at it from the positive way, from a positive perspective. Draw some energy from other people's story, like that doctor, because I saw him. I'm like, I'm a nurse. I'm a student nurse who is dyslexic. He's a doctor, he did it, so I can do it too. So me sharing my story is to motivate that nurse who wants to hear this, that student nurse who really, really needs to hear this and is thinking, I'm going to drop out of this nursing school, I'm not doing very well. No, you can do well. Using color coding and all of those things just makes you more a reliable nurse, and you are more safe in the things that you do. So you are not alone in this journey, and the nursing needs you. We all need you. The world needs you. It's a very demanding world we live in, and the demands are endless. But as dyslexic nurses, we can do it. So thumbs up to all the dyslexic nurses out there. Thank you very much for watching this episode. Share it with somebody that you think needs to hear this. And tune in to hear more episodes about things that people overcome, and how you can turn your dyslexia story to a successful story. Stay tuned And bye for now. It's me, Petronila.